Hey guys, it's Will from Tested. If you're just joining me, I am building a desk. I'm in Adam's shop. It's not exactly a one-day build because so far I think this is the third day I'm into this. But the first week I built the top, cut a bunch of wood, broke down some plywood. The second week I cut 40 feet of steel tube stock into the appropriate lengths. This week I need to do the fine cuts on those lengths so I can get them exactly the way I want them to fit to make the legs of my table. And then I'm gonna fire up the welder behind me and I'm gonna do some welding. So there are two things you should know about these videos. One is that I am not an expert in most of the stuff you're gonna see me doing. I've learned how to do this stuff by watching Adam or Jamie, watching videos on YouTube, reading stuff on the internet, reading books, all the way that people normally teach themselves how to do things. I'm doing that. I do not have the best shop practice skills. I'm always very safe, but it may not look like that on camera. The second thing is that this video series is brought to you by Tested Premium members. What does that mean? It means that we're taking membership dollars that you guys give us and turning them into these videos. There's stuff we wouldn't be able to do otherwise. So we have an extra producer, me spending all day in the shop a couple times a month. And we're really grateful to you guys for making that happen. So if you like this video and you would like to see more stuff like it, you can subscribe to Tested by going to tested.com/membership. You'll be able to find out more about the membership there as well. And as always, thanks to Tested Premium members, because I get to spend more time in the shop and less time sitting on my ass in the office. So without further ado, let's just get started and start making some cuts. Okay, so these need to be exactly 5.5 inches long. That is a little bit tricky. And they need to be more or less square. So how am I going to do this? I'm going to clamp. Okay, so the back piece looks pretty square. I'm just going to do the front piece. Wow, that is almost 6 inches long. Am I sure that these other pieces are good enough? Yeah, they're fine. Okay, so we can see what it looks like and then we'll decide. This is not pretty. Well, that's not gonna work. It's gonna take way too long. Okay, I could try getting a straighter cut with the bandsaw, the portable bandsaw. That'll work fine. Let me try cutting an angle with the bandsaw. Okay, back to the portable bandsaw. I'm going to square off all these small pieces and do the precise cuts that I should have done last week this week. Then I'm going to weld a square steel box for the top frame because I need that either way. And then after that, I'm going to figure out how to do the angle cuts. I think I might be able to do them with the portable bandsaw by putting them in and just lining it up on the right angle. But that seems like it's fraught with peril and the potential for mistakes is high. So we'll see. So you'll note I'm doing marks on the top and the side, so with the bandsaw I can line it up at first to make sure it stays straight, and then follow the blade down and make sure I'm not skating in as I go. That is a nice square cut. So the nice thing about the portable bandsaw is because you use gravity, the only place you can really mess up is if you twist or pull the blade in or out. So you get pretty square. That's not perfectly square, but it's good enough for my purposes. Cuts out of it without doing a whole lot of work. Okay, so those are the sides. I need to do the bottom, and then we can weld a little bit if we want. Okay, so now I have all the pieces for the big box. So I can go ahead and start welding that if I want, or I could tackle cutting the angles on the 7 strut pieces, I think, right? So because I'm cutting angles, I'm cutting essentially trapezoids because I have 2 parallel sides and then 2 sides that are cattywampus for each other. And I need to make sure that this one has a little bit of an angle cut, that I don't use the long side for the short side, or I may not have enough material. So what I've done is measured 79 degrees rather on this side. and then I'm going to cut off the end, hopefully so it stays more or less flush, and I'll bevel it out with the grinder in a little bit. That actually worked. Holy cow. Okay, here we go again. See if they do they match up? This is the test. Yep. That looks pretty good to me. So I know how long the long side of each of these rods should be. This one should be 1 foot and 13/30 seconds to the cut on this end. So what that means is I need to measure my angle and then measure the distance from here to wherever the cut is and make sure that that's right. So I'm going to do that first. I'm going to measure the distance first. Okay, now I'm going to flip it over and we're going to measure the angle from that side. Okay, so the lines line up. I'm going to go check my math and make sure that the short edge is going to be the right length, and we'll come back and do some cutting if it is. Okay, let's do another one exactly like that. That was perfect. That's 2 pieces done. There are 10 pieces to go, or 10 pieces total, so I have 8 pieces to go. This is exciting. So hopefully I've done all my cuts now. I need to do a little bit of cleaning up with the grinder, obviously make some bevels before I start welding, but I think I'm ready to lay all the pieces out on the floor, see how it looks, and then start the welds. So I've got everything cut. I forgot to cut one piece. It's actually down there. But I'm feeling pretty good about where I'm at. Like, it's lining up reasonably well. It looks like it'll be close to level. You know, my plan was always to put some feet on the bottom, so if it's not quite level, I can wobble it up or down as needed. But I'm feeling okay about this. I feel like this is making some progress. So next step is welding. Cuts are made, everything's more or less polished. I'm going to grind and weld as I go. I took a couple pieces of scrap and did a couple of practice welds. My beads are not pretty, I'm not going to win any awards, but they're pretty sturdy and they seem like they'll hold. So I'm going to go ahead and start on the top box of the desk, which is I think the simplest part of the welding to do. And then we'll go from there. Okay, so I'll fill in the other pieces in a minute. I'm going to go ahead and do the top bar. Which should theoretically just slot right in here. So you can see the welds are getting better. I just started at the bottom. These are real ugly. There's some brown in there, which means they're probably not super strong. At the top they're getting better. I think I need to turn up the gas a little bit because I think I'm probably not getting enough argon through. But definitely improving. And this is pretty square. This is squarer than I would have expected. So this is one of the top sides. I'm going to do the other top side. Then I guess I'll hook them together, and that might be as much as I get done today. We'll see how we go. I've welded the first 2 boxes. These are going to be the top of the desk frame. Ooh, they're still warm. That's really neat. In the process of doing like what I would call my first 16 or so real welds, I learned a ton. A lot of it seems to be about maintaining the speed of the gun versus the speed of the material that comes out of the gun. It's a lot like 3D printing in that sense, except for you're using molten metal. Warping is going to be a real issue, especially as I move towards the legs, where getting off axis a little bit is going to make them wobble a lot. I'll cross that bridge when I get to it. I need to go through and reinforce these. Once I upped the argon level just a little tiny bit, my welds looked a lot cleaner and a lot less brown, which seems good. So I'm going to go ahead and finish these welds up, and then I think I'm going to weld the frame. So I'll have basically the top of the desk, and I'll leave the legs for next week, and that'll do it. So let me go ahead and finish this up, and we'll do the big pieces in just a minute. So that'll about do it for us this week. It feels like a real honest day's work. If I had known what a hassle it would be to fix up those cuts last week, I would have just cut them right the first time, because a lot of them, it turns out, were complements to each other, 58, 101, whatever. I could have saved a ton of time by just doing it right the first time. The next thing I learned is that welding, while it is just a hot glue gun for metal, there is a large amount of room for finesse in there. And if you look closely at these welds, you'll see that there are some good welds, some bad welds, some really embarrassingly bad welds, and then some absolutely terrible welds. There's like maybe one that I would consider pretty good. Definitely room for improvement there. The good news is, like, each weld is an opportunity to improve more. So I think that's good. And as always, thank you to the Tested Premium members for sponsoring this piece of content. If you want to find out about becoming a Tested Premium member so that you can help contribute for stuff like this and some other stuff that we'll show in the future, you can find out how by going to tested.com/membership. You need to sign up for a Tested account, and then you can enter your payment information. We have monthly and annual plans. It's really, really easy. We'll be back next week when I will hopefully weld a bunch more square steel tubing into a big square steel frame. I'm getting a little worried about how heavy this thing's gonna be. And then I'll finish the drawer that pulls out, and hopefully I'll have a fully featured desk that then all I have to do is finish the top. So we'll see you guys next week. Bye.